and it was in my launch week. And in the first 2 days, I was put in front of alums who are there in the Schulich marketplace, and you have to go network. You're being given a glass of wine, and there's like, go talk. They throw statements like, don't ask for a job, because if you ask for a job, you might end up in an advice. Ask for an advice, you might end up in a job. Right? It's like, what am I supposed to do here? One thing that I realized in networking is it is not about the vanilla questions. It is not about showing up in front of somebody and saying that, how does your day look like?
Yeah.
What is your culture in this organization? And I hate the word networking. It's always relationship building, right?
That's true.
It's not a multi-level marketing. It's like, oh, I talk to you, you talk to three people. No, we don't have more time than 15 seconds per resume, right? And we don't want it to be novels, right? Use your formatting skills. I think formatting skills in MS Word, they are a boon. Do not add a section for your objective. And don't add those vanilla statements. I want to contribute my skills for the betterment of this organization and grow as a professional. We are not here for an Osho session or Sadhguru session with you. We know you have applied for a job, you need money.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Harne podcast. As promised, this is the part 2 of my conversation with Srikant on how to get into consulting. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, I highly recommend that you check out that episode first. The link is in the description box. While the part 1 of the conversation focused more on GMAT and how to decide which branch of consulting would be better for you, this episode focuses more on the resume preparation and networking for your dream job. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, especially those who watch the videos but don't subscribe. When you subscribe, it gives me an encouragement to get better content for you. So please subscribe to the channel. And now let's dig right into this episode. As you said, the applying and getting that job is another conversation. So let's have that conversation now. So say one decides that he wants to get into a particular field of consulting. Then what are the next steps? Like, how do you network for it? And how do you prepare your resume?
Yeah. Okay. I'll touch upon networking.
Yeah.
I think networking is something that's really close to my heart, not because that I love it, it's because I hate it. And I think I I would just point blank say that anybody who says that they love networking is lying. So it is not at all a pleasant experience, especially when you are coming from India. Why I say that?
Yeah.
In India, we are meritocracy driven economy or society, right? Um, and we do not realize or rather give the due importance, or rather it's not a stepping stone to success for us about how you present yourself. In India, you would meet a person, and if they are like talking and they are hard selling, if they are a good salesperson, after a couple of deals that they close, people around him are like, "Ye to bakchod hai," right? And he's just a talker, and stuff like those. So we tend, and I think, and it's mostly with most of the Asian cultures, is the fact that we want to hoard up on degrees, right? PhDs, MBA, MSc, Sharma ji ka beta, whatever, and stuff like those. Coming from that mindset to an economy where nobody gives a flying fuck about how much score did you have, which school did you go to, what course you did, what your specialization is, are you a state level debater or a national level swimmer? Nobody cares, right? And that's the process. And what happens is you come here and we escape India thinking, हमें तो नहीं चाहिए ये competition. I can't
Yeah.
do a 99.99 percentile for IIM. I'm going to India where my skills are valued, where I'm valued for the person I am. Very great Chak De India pep talks happening when you are applying. But when you come here, you know that there is competition, but now the skill sets for the competition has completely changed. Nobody, again, the premiumness of your institution doesn't matter, because
Yeah.
a competition is happening within your premier institution. In India, the fight was to get to a college, because the placement committee did whole of the process to get you to the interview, to get you placed, and make your life a rosy picture, and everything. But that's not here. You are paying 50, 60, a crore here for the MBA. You're coming here, but nobody's doing anything for you. You are on your own. And I got the jolt of it the first time, when I joined MBA, and it was in my launch week. And in the first 2 days, I was put in front of alums who are there in the Schulich marketplace, and you have to go network. You have been given a glass of wine, and there's like, go talk. And within 2 weeks, you have your summer graduate cycles that are happening. So the briefs that are given to us, and all this process, though it comes from a place of concern and they want to help you, the school resources, it overwhelms you, because they throw statements like, don't ask for a job, because if you ask for a job you might end up in an advice. Ask for an advice, you might end up in a job. Right? It's like, what am I supposed to do here? Right? And when I was there in that Schulich marketplace, um, and this was one of my leaders, back in the company that I used to work, and he used to say that, Srikant, we are not consultants. We are consultants because we dress well and we charge per hour. So, so, and I was like, yeah, that's so true. And now I also hold a glass of wine, but I don't know what to do. There's nobody to pick me. So, and then it took me literally one whole year uh, to know what networking was. Um, and thank God you asked this question, because I think to know what networking is to know who you are as a person first, right? And that's when you flourish in networking. It took me 1 year to break off from that inertia where I could grow the balls to ask the people who are good at networking in my batch to go and seek advice from them, that what is it that you're doing right, that you're ending up in so many coffee chats, right? I reach out to 1,000 people on LinkedIn. There is hardly anybody who's reaching out to me. And there is this dude sitting next to me who's having 4 coffee chats in one single day, right? And all of this adds up. Then you have your JNGs, your PNGs, your Deloittes and KPMGs coming in the second week of your MBA launch program. Is like, yeah, we are hiring for the summer next year, and applications close in next 3 weeks. Um, and there you come with from a resume which has a side column, which has your photo, which has this whole biography about what my objective in my career is. I want to add value. And then this fuckery of star format comes up in
Mm.
B schools. Is like, yeah, this is going to be scrapped off. This is not going to be something that is looked into. You need to have star format. So imagine you're first acclimatizing to a different country. You have never done errands of Walmart before, washed your clothes, done your dishes, cleaned up your rooms. So first you're trying to balance that out, and then you have to network to get a job. And once you network, the document that you have to submit to somebody, they are not in order. So this is what happens in the first 2 weeks of your MBA. Where I'm getting at in this whole conversation is not to overwhelm people, but to tell them that it is a natural process. This happens to everybody. Some people are good at standing up on their feet within the first 2 days and being super proactive and getting things done on a get-go. And some people who are super procrastinators like me, it takes 1 year for them to wrap their heads around that what is happening around me. Um, One thing that I realized in networking is it is not about the vanilla questions. It is not about showing up in front of somebody and saying that, how does your day look like?
Yeah.
What is your culture in this organization? Could you tell me the projects that you are working on? I would be bored to death if I have a coffee chat with somebody.
Yeah.
And I think people are woke now, and everyone is talking about well-being, mental health, empathy. Apply that to your conversations and your interactions. If you do that in North America, you're going to be the most successful person, if I may say so, because a consultant or anybody who's taking out those 30 minutes for you to talk to you, they are coming from a place where they're juggling between two screens, having infinitely many Zoom calls. They have their internal meetings to attend to, and then they are actually doing a community service to come and talk to you, right? So make that 30 minutes interesting for them. Nobody is dumb in that two-way conversation to not know that you're coming and talking to them for a job, especially when they see the designation that you are an aspiring student in MBA. No, you are not coming there to know about their company. You are there to get a job because they have done that. It is an implied truth. So you don't have to be desperate about getting a job, but you need to be smart about getting a job. And what do I mean about getting a job? In networking, somebody, and it's not a conscious assessment, it's just an natural process to levitate and gravitate towards somebody that you like talking to. Because tomorrow, if I'm able to talk to you nicely for 30 minutes, and I voluntarily say it's okay if we extend our meeting by 15 more minutes, is because I'm engaged and invested in you. So tomorrow, when I'm working with you, I'll be engaged and invested in you to work with you and not despise the whole chat and thinking that when is it going to get over, right? So if you can bring in that feeling, and the analogy that I usually use for this is like a cool glass of and lemonade never hurts in a hot sunny day. It's that you need to be that lemonade to that other person, right? And how are you being that lemonade? You don't have to be a minion to spread happiness around. You don't have to get into a call jumping around with joy. That is also annoying, especially when we have early morning calls. It's like, why the fuck are you so full of energy, right? We don't want a Ritik Roshan. It's like, hi, auntie. We don't want that. So, so just be normal and be vulnerable. The moment you are vulnerable, I think it opens up so many doors to conversation, and that is where you see the magic happen in a networking chat. And I hate the word networking. It's always relationship building, right?
That's true.
It's not a multi-level marketing. It's like, oh, I talk to you, you talk to three people. No, you are basically trying to build a rapport, right? So do that. And what do I mean when I say be vulnerable? um, I have been into coffee chats and I have spoken to leaders. This happened after 1.5 years when I knew what networking was. I would go and it was like, okay, so how can I help you today? And I would be like, I really don't know what I'm doing, and just as we discussed, where do you want to be, right? And nobody knows the answer to that. And you'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening around me. This whole concept of networking is new to me. And I feel a bit lost. So before even I ask you about what you do in your company and what your company does, it would be of great help if you could tell me that what could I do to wrap my heads around what's happening around me. This does two things. You are giving the platform for the other person to talk, And when they are talking, they are revisiting their vulnerable times. So they are opening up themselves in front of you that this is what happened with me, and this is what my journey was, and this is how I ended up here. The next prong to networking and such conversations is you get a validation. You feel that you're not alone, right? And this is the journey. And this is how things are. I know that I have a loan. I know I have to prove myself. I know there are financial, emotional dependencies on me, but so was it for this person, right? So I'm not somebody who has been singled out by life and it is just squeezing me out like a lemon and I don't know how to make a lemonade, right? It has been the case and this is how it works. So if he could do it, I think I can also do it, right? Um, and that's when the third thing happens, you know, when that person is emotionally invested in you, the other person. And I think that's a very humane nature to reach out to somebody. They would be like, I know this person is going through something. And I'm not asking you to play this as an ingenuine card, because that also comes across. And nobody at the age of 26 to 30 is dumb enough to not catch those pretentious sob stories, right? So be genuine and be vulnerable. And you don't even have to ask for the call to action. The other person would themselves say that it was a great chat having with you. Let me know if I could be of any help to you, and feel free to reach out to me in case you find some opportunities. We can figure things out. And that's exactly what you want from a networking chat. That is a successful networking chat. What is an unsuccessful networking chat? Is like the other person is super occupied. They just give you k dot responses in personal chats as well. um they might not do anything, but what's the loss, right? He was a stranger, she was a stranger, they ended up being stranger. The only good side is a stranger could become a friend in the positive scenario. So I would say that being that person who's open about their issues would help you a long way. And that's something that you need to unlearn and relearn from a cultural setup that we are raised in India.
Yeah.
That was a very long answer. Did I
No, but
answer?
that was a lovely answer. I loved, you gave great insights. And as you said, this will require some time to learn,
Yeah,
because it's not like, because you're coming from a different country and a different culture. So
yeah,
it takes some time to unlearn and then relearn, as you said it. So
yeah.
thank you so much for that answer. And now
Mhm.
let's talk about the next step, which is preparing the resume for a
Yeah,
consulting. So people
yeah.
often stress about what keywords should I include in the resume? Should it be in the star format, the car format?
Oh my
So
God.
what are your thoughts on that,
Yeah.
please?
Okay. Okay. I recruit people. I have been through a lot of interviews. I've been through a lot of CVs. Again, I don't know how to say this, but this is the truth. It might be very harsh or something. Imagine for very coveted posts, like I can talk for the likes of Deloitte and the Big Fours and the MBBs. When there is a graduate program that opens up, there are what, 8 to 10 positions that they hire for, and there are hundreds and hundreds of resumes. And there's a team of 30, 40 people who review those resumes, and everyone is resuming 25, 30, 40 resumes per head. We don't have more time than 15 seconds per resume, right? And we don't want it to be novels, right? Use your formatting skills. I think formatting skills in MS Word, they are a boon. Use bold. Be very, very, do a little bit of research on what kind of typeface you want to use for your resume. Which typeface has the shortest space, but you could fit in a lot of words. I'll give you the answer. It's Garamond. So, so Garamond 11 and 12 is very aspirational, but you can't go less than a Garamond 11, right? So have your and don't and some people give me resumes which is so crowded. There are absolutely no margins. They want to maximize the whole space. We don't want that, right? It is what am I going to see in those 15 seconds? So and again, from India, again, we do not talk about ourselves because we aren't programmed that way, but we want our resumes to be 5 pages long with 2 years of experience, right? And there is this going to be this whole section, the skills I have, leadership, communication, la 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 la, right? And none of that is demonstrated in your CV, right? If you say that you are a good communicator and you're applying to uh, and if you're applying to consulting, I need to see a living proof of that in your resume. I don't have to say that you're a good communicator by your writing skills because it is a point in your key skills. If your resume jumps out the information that I'm looking for, you're a good communicator, right? So choosing what kind of skills you want to show there is important. And how do you know what those skills are, right? Read the JD, right? So the JD has all the things that you want. The JD has the keyword, okay, business process optimization. So of course, you would be dumb enough not to include a point of business process optimization under your previous work experience. And don't, okay, now you can quote me because this will be public, but resumes are a document which I would say are implied truths, right? So it can't be a holy grail, right? And that's where we come from. We come from India, where it is a holy grail. The person reading the resume knows every technical aspect that you are talking about, right? Because we are programmed to be that people. But here there is a certain style of communication which is STAR, which makes a lot of sense to me. Situation, task, action, and result. And this is where GMAT also plays a critical role, right? And you're like, oh, so I have to explain all these four things in 1.5 sentences. I was like, yes, that is your job in consulting, right? Nobody has the time to read pages and pages and pages. You tell the audience, what have you done? What was the situation? What was the context? What did you do? What was the result? And what did you do to arrive at that result? As simple as that, and bold those business process optimization, colon, I bolded it. And then implemented this, increased revenue by this. So if I read that sentence, I see business process optimization in bold, that catches my eye. And I was like, if I'm interested in that point, I'll read further. And then similarly, and not more than 5 points per experience, 1.5 sentences at max in worst to worst situations, 2 full sentences. Make sure it doesn't go beyond that. Do not add a section for your objective. And don't add those vanilla statements. I want to contribute my skills for the betterment of this organization and grow as a professional. We are not here for an Osho session or Sadhguru session with you. We know you have applied for a job, you need money, you have done your MBA. So again, it is all implied. So don't be so altruistic, if I may say so. Be practical, right? Another hack that I really want to give MBA schools, and probably many of the career development centers will not agree with me, is whenever you are applying through schools, do not put your education first. Keep your education as the secondary block than your professional experience. I'll tell you why. Because when I open a resume, and not just me, and it's an implied bias, right? When somebody looks at the first thing as an education, they know you are from a B school, right? Now you're in a B school. So they will benchmark you as somebody who's new in the game, right? As much as we don't want to have that bias, it just happens, yeah, this person doesn't know much about this market. He's still pursuing an MBA. It's not even part-time, it's full-time. What do I do? And you would see that reflect on your pay as well, right? So be a little smart, or juggle around with different stuffs. How are you? How are you presenting? Many people would say, "I don't have Canadian experience." Um,
Major
some
concern.
yeah, people, and especially in marketing, to be honest, right? They would be like, uh, why would we give you a job in brand management in Canada? You don't know the brands in Canada. You don't know how the Canadian brand works. And that's where you need to be smart. You need to have your story right. The pitch for those people could be like, yeah, of course, I don't know what happens in Canada, but I, of course, know what happens in marketing, right? And I come from an economy which is super competitive. And probably Canada is an oligopolistic market where the competition is less. If I could make my company survive in a market like India, I'm certainly sure that I can make a company survive in Canada, right? And of course, it's very easy for me to say this right now. You, as a student, you can't say this because you yourself are going through an implied bias, thinking that I am not qualified enough. I'm not to that level where I would be talking about stuff. So, so probably the projects that you do with your B school, something that you do on the side, and another thing that you can do in networking, importantly, is always tell the person, "Can I be of some help to you?" Right? I do my B school. I have like 4 hours a week in my hand. I would want to learn more about this. So if there is anything that probably is not very confidential to your organization, you need to do me some market research, something that I need to look for, certain do some heavy lifting for you. I have a lot of resources from Schulich that I can access for reports and market analysis. I can do something for you, right? And I did that one for one of the banks, right? I was enrolled in this course called customer centricity. We were working with one of the big banks in Canada, and their stakeholders reached out to me and they gave me an individual project to do a lot of research on international students during COVID, right? And it didn't turn into an opportunity, but as a student, I got an opportunity to present that in front of the board of directors of such a big bank as a student, and they were listening to me. So those kind of validations are important for you, and those kind of experiences are important for you. So include those, and don't try to fit that in work experience where people are like, "Oh, is that a lie? What if somebody catches?" And they would be like, "You were not a permanent employee. How can I put that on my resume?" Add a section called key projects, right? uh, it is open-ended. Be very creative with these open-ended terminologies, especially if you want to get into consulting, right? And there's a consulting, people say that you talk like a consultant for a reason, because it is it is it for the lack of better word, it's a very inconclusive statement that we make many times. It's like it's on you how you interpret it. So play in that gray area, use those implied truths, add those key projects, build in that Canadian experience that people want to see, which might not be full time, but of course you have done. You're spending 2 years in a course. You're talking about so many organizations in here. And of course, you do have Canadian experience, and be smart about it, as in walk the talk. More than you should already be acting the role of the person that you're applying to before you even apply, right? And talk to them from a point of view that you know what you're doing, and go from there. So, yeah, I don't know if that helps again, but yeah.
It certainly helps, and those are excellent points. So thank you so much for that. You are being very candid. Very few guests do that. So I'm really enjoying this conversation. And that was part two of my conversation with Srikant. There is a final part pending, which will be released next week and will focus on the interview process for consulting roles. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so that you don't miss it when that episode is released. Please like this video and leave us a comment in the comment section down below. Until the next time, this is me, Raghavendra Harne, signing off. Take care.